Going against Erling Haaland, captaincy actually paid off. Salah delivered, Haaland blanked, and I ended up on 59 points for the game week. That's my third green arrow in a row. Now in today's transfer plans video, we're going to take a look at the possible moves and changes I can make to my squad ahead of the game week 10 deadline. So, let's get into this. Welcome back to the transfer plan series. We're going to talk about how we did in the previous game week for game week 9, identify some talking points, some issues within the squad that we can talk about within the transfer plan section of today's video. Before we get into the players on screen here, I am only 3 subscribers away from 1,000 subs on YouTube, so if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, do go ahead and consider it for future FPL content and deadline streams. Be amazing to hit 1,000 subs on today's video, and of course like the video if you want to support a little bit further. Getting stuck into the team now though, we've got the triple Arsenal defence yet again delivering for my side, and I think going forward triple Arsenal defence makes a lot of sense in FPL. Gyökeres and Saka haven't exactly been amazing assets in the past few weeks, and I think the Arsenal defence is perhaps a little bit more consistent with their points, it seems. So we're going to trust them, of course, going forward into the next few weeks with the good fixtures. And I mean, Gabriel just seems like the best defender in FPL, like no questions asked. Of course, a little bit of speculation about a possible assist for Gabriel within this fixture for Eze's goal, but it didn't really touch his head, so it's not going to count as an assist there. It's Declan Rice's cross which got the assist, I do believe. But overall, a really good performance from them. Rodon, I mean, a lot of people on stream looked at my Leeds setup and went, what on earth? West Ham are going to beat Leeds. What are you thinking? And then, you know, Leeds go ahead and do what I expected them to do within the fixture at home against West Ham. And Rodon was an absolute monster in this game. He was by far the best player on the pitch. And of course, 13 points is nothing to be upset by. It could have been 17, it could have, but 13 is more than enough from Rodon within this fixture. I think it's mainly, you know, got to do with underestimating the newly promoted sides, which is why people have those sort of opinions. And we're going to kind of transition into some 2 Chelsea players here where I think I myself underestimated my own side, Sunderland, against, you know, one of the best teams in the world, Chelsea, away from home. I did not expect us to win this fixture whatsoever. I expected it to be a high-scoring game, in all honesty, from Chelsea, but they really didn't have, you know, loads of quality, especially in that final third, I thought, which really let them down in the game. And of course, Sunderland capitalised that in the final minutes of the game. Chesadine Talby scoring the last minute winner was great for me to watch. And honestly, I'm on top of the world. I think we're 4th in the Premier League right now. It just feels amazing. But yeah, slightly disappointment from the Chelsea assets from an FPL point of view. But in real life, I'm absolutely buzzing because my team Sunderland won the game. When it comes to Reinders, I didn't even want to play him this week. I'll be completely honest. I normally put the auto sub indicator on the graphic here, but I just completely missed it out. Statch didn't play, so Reinders came in for a massive 1-pointer. Yeah, I think he needs to go in the coming weeks, but we'll kind of talk about that a little bit more in the next section of the video. And Bruno Fernandes, we spoke about how many routes to points this guy has, and he goes ahead and gets DEFCONs this week, and I'm like, well, I'll take it. 4 points for Bruno Fernandes, not bad at all. I think for the third goal, you could basically credit him that assist. The intelligence shown in that sort of passage of play, you know, checking your shoulder, looking for the run behind you, realising if you let this run, a player is going in on goal. He makes this, like, you know, movement, zips past him, straight into the player, and then the goal is scored. It's so intelligent from Bruno Fernandes. But you're just not going to get an assist for that in the Premier League, and in Fantasy Premier League. Still, though, an amazing game from United. And I think that will continue. I think the form will carry on in the next few weeks. Then you have sort of the talking point, you could say, of the past few videos on the channel, going against Erling Haaland captaincy. Now, everybody who I spoke to was pretty much like, what on earth are you doing? Why are you going against Erling Haaland this week? That makes zero sense. And there was a handful of people that kind of agreed with me, because the data itself shows that, you probably shouldn't captain Erling Haaland this week. It doesn't quite make sense. The data I'm speaking about, of course, is Manchester City now in the last 3 games travelling away to Villa haven't drawn a game and haven't won a game. They have lost every single fixture for the past 3 games away at Aston Villa. And I think that does affect the players. And of course you could argue, look, Erling Haaland's massively in form. It shouldn't matter. He could go anywhere and score goals. Absolutely true. And of course, I was absolutely, crapping my pants at the sort of thought of Erling Haaland doing amazing this game week. But, I had faith within the data. And of course, I had faith within the Night Manager's algorithm. I use Night Managers for my team in some weeks, and I am partnered with them this season. If you don't know who they are the best performing FPL algorithm in the entire game. I am partnered with them this season, so you're going to get 2 free weeks if you use code FPLMogs with the link in the description. They were the people who suggested that going against Erling Haaland from a data point of view was a great idea, and that's what we did. We thought that Erling Haaland wasn't sort of the best captain for the game week, and the data affirmed that, and we went with Mohamed Salah, who outscored Erling Haaland, and it massively improved my rank this week, so massive shout out to Night Managers for that. But yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of stuck in the mindset with captaincy at the moment that Haaland is the only person you can captain, and it's just not the case. It just isn't. I certainly felt like it before game week 9, but taking risks in FPL, if you think there's good upside in it, isn't a bad idea, and that's what we did this game week. And if it went wrong, I would have held my hands up and said, look, I was wrong about this, but this week I was absolutely right in doing so. Calvert-Lewin and sort of Mark Yu. We spoke about Chelsea and Mark Yu, but Calvert-Lewin we didn't really touch on when talking about the team here. Look, I think the 2 fixtures where Calvert-Lewin I think could have got something from, he hasn't done anything. He's just kind of got great chances, been in amazing areas and had shots on goal, but at the end of the day he's not put them in the back of the net, and that is a worry. But at the end of the day, look, he's 5.5 million. I don't really care. I'm not spent. If he cost, let's say it was Gyökeres, and he was doing what Calvert-Lewin's doing right now, I'd be like, oh my god, this feels terrible. But because I haven't got so much money tied up in Calvert-Lewin, it doesn't really matter. It lets me have other amazing assets in the side, and yeah, it's been working so far, so we're going to continue to do so. But that's how we got on in game week 9. 59 points overall. A nice green arrow, the 3rd green arrow in a row. Let's see if we can keep the momentum up and take a look at my transfer plans for game week 10. Right, we're on to our transfer plans for this week, game week 10. And we do have 2 free transfers at our disposal this game week. In all honesty, there are a few players who could potentially move, but the likelihood is that I do roll the transfer into game week 11. But we'll speak about those potential moves because they could happen for game week 10. We identified the Arsenal triple up is a great sort of setup to have, and this week it feels great against Burnley away from home. Arsenal just control games, and I think in this fixture they're going to have even more of the ball than they had against Palace, of course, and I do think that's a really good way of, guaranteeing the clean sheet almost, keeping the ball away from the opponents. If they don't have it, they can't score. And there is a slight worry that Burnley do score on the fixture, because I feel as though Burnley, the way they set up and counter-attack people, they try to dominate the midfield and play the ball centrally, and then instantly spring the ball out wide, stretching the defence out and just attacking full force on those wings. And it works really well at times, and potentially against Arsenal when Timber or Calafiori, makes its way into the box at times, which is just really interesting to see. That could be a possible weakness against a Burnley side that will probably look to counter-attack it within this fixture. But overall, I don't think that matters too much when Arsenal are probably going to have the ball for the majority of the game. So a great clean sheet opportunity for those triple-up Arsenal. Sunderland at home to Everton. It doesn't feel like a great fixture, but then Sunderland, we've just been fantastic. We've just been absolutely fantastic, especially at home. We look just so resilient, so determined to win the fixture. it feels great having Mukiele as an option in FPL. And I think within this game, potentially we could see the back five yet again. I don't think that's a systematic change that will happen throughout the games of the Premier League. It's not a system that we're going to just stick with. Think about it's similar to Brentford last season. Thomas Frank being adaptive to whoever he plays. Regis Lebris will do exactly the same, and I think perhaps in the Everton fixture we could see that again, and similar to what we've seen against Chelsea. And the reason for that is because of the wingers of Everton. They're really a threat, especially Jack Grealish, Iliman Ndiaye. They are just top dribblers in the Premier League, and that's where I think it could hurt Sunderland, and it did against Chelsea with Garnacho being on the wing. But still, I think being at home, Sunderland, great fixture. Anderson, Wolves at home, with a big red arrow on him. I've heard that it's a minor injury and he's possibly going to be back for this fixture. I'm kind of banking on that. If not, I do think Rodon coming in isn't a bad move, really, from the bench there. In terms of sort of expected minutes, that's who would probably take the position within the squad. Stach obviously had his issue with Leeds having that small issue that is kind of restricted his playing time for Leeds, and having a full rest in the previous fixture against West Ham. Maybe, his minutes look better, and perhaps we hear in a press conference that he's ready to be back in the squad, and that's probably the move you would make there. But yeah, Anderson with the Wolves at home fixture feels like a great fixture to have him. We'll start with Reinders here, because there's possibly a transfer I can make here, and I want to speak about that briefly. It would be Minte of Brighton. Now, he's not my favourite Brighton asset. At the moment, it's Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck's been fantastic in the past few fixtures. They've got a really good set of fixtures coming up. You've got Leeds, Palace, Brentford, Forest, Aston Villa, West Ham, Liverpool, Sunderland, Arsenal, West Ham, Burnley. Fixtures longer term look great for Brighton. Minte at 6 million is affordable with the current money I have in the bank, transferring from Reinders up. It's just the case that I am slightly hesitant to do that move. Not because sort of Reinders is this amazing asset, but because of Manchester City's fixtures coming up. From game week, I think it's 14 onwards. Yeah, 14 onwards. We've got Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland, Palace, West Ham, Forest, Sunderland, Chelsea. The fixtures for Man City look great coming up, and that's, of course, why we wanted Erling Haaland within the side, of course, as well as his amazing form. But Reinders is exactly, his expected minutes isn't great. He's not exactly massively involved going forward. His defensive contributions are weak as well. Overall, he's not an amazing asset, so that Minte move definitely could be one I do, but I think it's more than likely I just do roll the transfer. We'll have a look at it later in the week. Maybe we get some team news, maybe putting Anderson out, maybe, Stach could still be a problem and a transfer could happen there, but overall, I think it's still maybe the move I would keep Reinders for this week at home. It doesn't feel great though. Enzo against Spurs away. Enzo really disappointing against Sunderland at home. At home. Sorry, I'm just so happy that Sunderland beat Chelsea. I'm messing up my words here. But there has been some news regarding Caicedo, Enzo, and João Pedro. I heard Let's Talk FPL Andy speak on his video today, or it might have been yesterday, where them three players haven't been training every day, and that's a little bit of a worry as well. But I still think he'll play within the fixture, a good chunk of minutes, of course, and seems to be still on penalties for Chelsea. We'll see when that happens in the Premier League, when a penalty is awarded to Chelsea. But yeah, Enzo still feels great longer term to own. Bruno Fernandes, Forest away. It feels like a captaincy option this week. I think Sean Dyche will eventually get hold of this Forest side and do a lot better within the Premier League. But at the moment, against Bournemouth, it wasn't really a great performance overall from Forest, and perhaps that continues within this United fixture when United look really in form. So yeah, a captaincy option there in Bruno Fernandes, but we're choosing again to go against Erling Haaland and go with Mohamed Salah captaincy for game week 10 against Aston Villa away, Aston Villa at home at Anfield. It's still my opinion that Liverpool, this form can't continue. There is no way that Liverpool, for the rest of the season, for the rest of the coming weeks, are just bad. I think goals will happen. confidence will return to players like Mohamed Salah. I think after the goal he scored against Brentford, he can look at himself and go, that was great. The technique to pull that from the air, hit it on the other foot pretty much straight away, a top corner. It was a great finish, a brilliant bit of individual skill, and sort of his willingness to score a goal at the moment is higher than ever. I just think there needs to be a little bit more quality in tight situations when, you know, players are pressing him. He needs to go beyond this man a little bit more. But I still think as a captaincy option at home against Villa, he isn't a bad shout this week, in all honesty. The reason we're kind of going against Erling Haaland, we'll speak about Haaland now, is Bournemouth just look a good defence, just like Aston Villa did looked last week. So I think, again, there could be upside in going against Erling Haaland. I don't think there's as much upside in this week as there was in game week 9. So I think it's very close between Salah, Bruno Fernandes and Haaland captaincy this week. There is an outside shout to possibly captain Gabriel, if I'm being completely honest here. I mean, the clean sheet potential for Arsenal is high. I do think the nature of the fixture against Burnley, there's going to be a lot of set pieces, particularly corners, which Gabriel is an absolute demon at. So there is a slight chance I could captain Gabriel there, but it's very unlikely. I think Salah, Bruno Fernandes and Haaland are going to be one of those assets are going to be the captains for this game week. And then finally, Dominic Calvert-Lewin against Brighton away from home. Doesn't feel amazing, but he's getting chances. I just need him to put one of these away. But at his price point, I just can't really complain. There is an opportunity to potentially go up to Thiago of Brentford, but playing Palace this week, Newcastle the week after at home doesn't feel amazing. An amazing time to bring him in. I prefer him from gimmick 13 onwards, you could say, when he plays Burnley at home. But yeah, I think we're going to stick with this, roll the transfer and see how we can deal with things in game week 11. But overall, this is how we'll line up for game week 10. It feels great. Again, going against Erling Haaland, which people are going to be kind of sceptical about, but I think again there is upside within this week to go against him. But that's how we'll line up for game week 10. Rolling the transfer feels good. Let me know what you think of the team in the comments and the possible transfers you can make this week in FPL. Tomorrow you can expect my Game Week 10 preview video, so make sure you're keeping your eyes out for that. And of course, a massive thank you for your support on today's video and the channel. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and drop a like. And if you're not yet subscribed to the FPL Mugs YouTube channel, go ahead and do so for future FPL content and FPL streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.